Alright class, let's go and get settled down here, and we'll go and get this week's class underway, and I'd like to welcome you to Deck Tech 101. So, in this week's Deck Tech here, what we're going to do is we're going to do something that I am not a big fan of, and that is tricolor decks. Now, I've been messing around with tricolor decks a little bit in sealed play, and they seem to work okay there, so I had the idea for this particular deck just out of the spur of the moment type deal. I was driving home from work, and I'm like, I wonder if this style of deck here would work, and I'm sure I'm not the first one to think of it, but I just thought I would share it with you. So basically what we have here is we have a Wild Blood Sapphire deck. Now, the Sapphire shard there is strictly there for card draw only. We're going to use the Oracle Song cards there. So, and the wild cards are going to be for like Pack Raptors and Crash of Beasts, and Blood's going to be there for control. So let's go ahead and get started here, and let's take a look. Okay, so since we're going to be a tricolor deck, let's go and get the shards out of the way. We're going to run 8 wild, 8 blood, 1 sapphire, and 2 Shards of Fate. Now the Shards of Fate are strictly to get the sapphire shard that we need, strictly because we have Oracle Song, which is a 1 sapphire threshold. So that's the only reason we're running 1 sapphire shard with 2 Shards of Fate there. So they're not, like I said, 8 wild shards, 8 blood shards. Alright, so let's start with the blood cards. First one we're going to do is Pact of Pain. Pact of Pain here, pay 2 health, draw a card. I'm not convinced having this card in there is going to work quite yet. I started out with, 3 of them, and have lowered it down to 1. Basically, the reason why I've lowered it down to 1 is because we have no way to gain health other than Bottled Vitae, which we're going to be running. So to whittle away at your health is not necessarily a good thing if you don't have any way to replenish your health. So that's why we're only running 1 for now. Next card here is going to be Demented Demolisher. This is strictly for, okay, so let's say we've drawn, 4 Pack Raptors, and we've already drawn, 2 or 3 Crash of Beasts. We have plenty of resources that we need. Go ahead and play this guy, exhaust him, destroy all your resources, so no matter what you draw out of your deck, it's going to be a card that we can use. It's not going to be a resource. That's the only reason he's there. And we're only going to run 1 of him. And we're going to run 3 Crash of Beasts. Crash of Beasts is an awesome card. I like it because every time you play it, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is a fundamental part of the deck. We're going to be running 4 Pack Raptors, and this is where the card draw comes into play. So every time we play a Pack Raptor, obviously everybody knows that we're going to shuffle 4 of these dudes back into our deck, and then when we get the card draw, we're just going to try to start milling them back out of our deck to put them into play for so then each Pack Raptor from there gets +1/+1. Then we're running 2 Wild Root Dancers. Now you might be thinking, okay, why in the heck are you going to run Wild Root Dancers if you're going to just blow away all your resources? The Wild Root Dancers are basically a means to an end. If and before you get the Demented Demolisher out, you have Wild Root Dancer out. As you're playing resources, you can buff stuff. Doesn't matter what it is. Buff a Pack Raptor. Buff, you can buff the Wild Root Dancer if you have 2 of them out there. Buff a Crash of Beasts. Buff anything that's in play at the time. It's the only reason that they're there. Then we have 2 Chlorophyllias. Chlorophyllias here are not for threshold gain like they would be used if you were playing the mono wild deck to ramp up your threshold for honeycap. Basically it's there to gain those 2 resources. So we're going to run 2 of those, and then we have 2 Moon'ariu Senseis. Not 2 of these, we have 4 of these, right? 4 of these. This is for our card draw. Again, another troop that could be buffed from Wild Root Dancer if it's out, and also it gets us a card. It gives us a little bit of board presence. Granted, it's only a 1/1 troop, but hey, it gives us something on the board, something we could buff, something we can attack with. And then Howling Brave. I'm not too sure about Howling Brave, since it only grants us, a permanent or a temporary resource. He's only a 1/1. He does gain a say threshold, but again, the threshold's not super necessary. So this could certainly be replaced with something. I did have HEX engines in here. HEX engines proved to be absolutely pointless. So I put 2 of these in replace, just because it's a troop and you can attack with it and you can buff it if it's, if it's early in the game yet and you have Wild Root Dancer out. So the only reason I got these guys in here. And then, if you so happen to have a Pack Raptor and you wanted to play, Sensei and along with, a Howling Brave, and you needed that extra resource, you can play another Pack Raptor. That was kind of the thinking behind that. And so, they could be replaced with something for sure. Let's see here. I think I said that we were going to start with the blood cards, and I totally missed out on that. So anyway, we're just going to continue on down the line here. For the control side of the deck here, we got 3 Extinctions. Definitely want to play these before you start getting your troops out there, and even if you do have like a couple of your troops out, no big deal. If you have like 2 Pack Raptors out there, or 2 Pack Raptors and a Crash of Beasts, you can certainly throw down an Extinction, not have to really worry about it, because you're going to have the Pack Raptors there and you're going to have the Crash of Beasts. It's still going to come back. Nothing too terribly to worry about, unless you have, if you have your Wild Root Dancers down and you have your Senseis. Your Senseis really aren't there to be a troop, though. They're more there to get you card draw. So running the Extinction isn't something you really need to terribly worry about destroying our troops, because we're going to be able to get them back regardless. 4 murders. Murders there, again, they're just to control troops that come out, and hopefully they don't have Defender of Argus or Eternal Guardian or some type of troop artifact. If they do, you're going to be kind of screwed, and you're just going to have to be able to run Extinctions. If you can run this particular deck in like a tournament, if it works out well for you, swap out the murders for Chaos Keys or something along those lines that can deal with artifact troops. Next one here is going to be Persecute. Persecute's a very quick, easy removal, targeted removal card there. 2 cost 1 threshold, so it's not too terribly expensive. -3/-3. Good early game removal card. So it kind of gives you that, so you don't have to take too much damage in early game while you're trying to build up your deck with the Pack Raptors and Crash of Beasts and so on and so forth. And then we're going to run 2 Secret Labs here. Secret Lab is obviously draw a card and then discard a card. These are more late game draw, because we don't want to, be discarding cards. So if we have 10 resources and we draw another resource, go ahead and draw this, discard the resource if that's the card you want. That's kind of the way I use them. I don't like to discard troops or something of use if I have enough resources in my hand, so I always save at least 1 spare resource. So we'll run 2 of those, and then we got 4 Oracle Songs for the card draw there. So if you think about it, that's 8 cards we can draw out of that total. We got 8 total card draw there, plus 4 here, so that's 12 cards we can actually draw. And then we have Bottled Vitae. Again, gives us a card, so we have 3 of these. It's another 3 cards on top of the 12. That's 15 cards we have total card draw. And then we run Oakhenge Ceremony, which is look at the top 5 cards of your deck, put a troop among them from your hand, then shuffle the remaining back into your deck. Again, this is to look for the Pack Raptor, look for the Crash of Beasts, or something along those lines to get them out into your hand sooner. So we run 3 of those as well. And then the troop that I have selected here, it probably seems kind of odd, and I think my original plan with this deck here was to be like, oh, wouldn't it be awesome if we could have like a Pack Raptor, Crash of Beast, draw, flood the board with them, flight deck. And that's the way it started. But when I got done building it, I'm like, hang on a second here, we don't have anything to put, we don't have like Phoenix Guard Trainer or anything in here that's gonna like inspire this stuff to give it flight. None of them have sockets to give them flight. And so I'm like, well, if we wanted to do that, we could choose Feather Drifting Downriver, and he's every 4 resources give a troop flight, and he's only 1 Sapphire, and it might be kind of tough to meet that Sapphire, but if you get that Shards of Fate, it will be no problem. So then every 4 resources after that, you can give something flight. So if you think about it, if you have, I was just playing a game with this deck here, just against the AI. I had 2 Wild Root Dancers down. Every time I throw a shard down, they buff each other by the time I was all said and done, I had 2 8/8 Wild Root Dancers, 1 with Flight. So that's one way you can look at it there. Or, you know, if you have a couple Crasher Beasts that are being buffed with Wild Root Dancer, and all of a sudden you throw another resource down, give that Crasher Beast Flight. Or if you have, you know, 6 Pack Raptors out there, you know, give one of them Flight, you know, something along those lines. If I were to change the actual champion, it would either be between Gozog, since he's only a 1 threshold, and it's every 2 you deal 1 damage, gain a health. That would probably be a good one. Then Pact of Pain wouldn't be so bad to play. Or it would be, I don't think it would be Kishimoto. Kishimoto wouldn't be bad, but it's only this turn. I don't like champions that do this turn type of stuff, other than Blaze Elemental, because it has speed. Let's see here. If I were to choose anything else, it would be Running Deer. So you can gain 5 health, and Pact of Pain, again, wouldn't be so bad to play. While White the Sapper wouldn't work, because we're only running 1 Sapphire Shard. With the possibility of 3. So if you do happen to draw Shards of Fate, tap the Sapphire, and then you actually draw the Sapphire, then you'll have the actual 2. But then every 5 you're drawing a card, so it's a little too far between. So I think it'd be between Running Deer or Gozog if I were to change the actual champion here. My personal opinion, anyway. So yeah, so that's the deck there. I call it Flying Pack Beasts, but again, like I said, the original inspiration was to make, you know, a flight-based Pack Raptor Beast deck, and it just didn't work out that way. But if you did swap some things out and then put Phoenix Guard Trainer in there to inspire some of this stuff, it obviously is not going to inspire the Pack Raptors, because Pack Raptors are 1 cost and Phoenix Guard Trainer is 3 cost. But it definitely will inspire the beasts for sure, or the rhinos, I should say. Yeah, so you can just kind of disregard the name there. It's kind of ridiculous, but so yeah, that's going to be this week's here deck tech, and hopefully you like it. I think it has potential. Personally, I don't know. If I were to sideboard stuff, I would definitely sideboard Pact of Life. Switch that out for something. I would definitely sideboard Chaos Key. I'd probably sideboard Honeycap, maybe. Gosh, I can't think of anything else off the top of my head that I would sideboard. Maybe Relentless Corruption, since we are running blood. You know, maybe you want to sideboard that to just, you know, pull some cards out of a person's deck. Yeah, Chronic Madness, maybe. What does Chronic Madness cost? I forget. Let's take a look. Chronic Madness. Okay, 1 cost, 1 threshold, so that could be a possible card. You know, if you wanted to just mill some crap off of your opponent's deck, maybe you could do that. Probably wouldn't be too viable without Twisted Fate, but it's another card you could possibly sideboard. Sabotage. Oh, what is that called there? Is it called Sabotage? It's not called Sabotage. Yeah, it is called Sabotage. 3 cost, 2 threshold, so it'd be kind of iffy to have to swap out some resources. Maybe, I don't know, that probably wouldn't be a good one to sideboard. Like I said, I have a tough time coming up with sideboards, because it all depends on, you know, your play style and what you'd want to do. Let's see, what other one could we sideboard here? Phoenix Guard Trainer would probably be a good one to sideboard, since it is only 1 threshold, you know, just to put that in there, maybe to get more of them out there to have flight. But you got to remember, Wild Root Dancer would be affected by it, and the Demented Demolisher would be affected by it. Because if you think about it, we're only running 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 total troops in this deck. So you gotta kind of think about that. So that's why I kind of chose the Feather Drifting Downriver, just to give the little guys flight. I mean, obviously they're not all going to get flight, but that was the idea. So far, you know, I've only played a couple games against the AI, and the AI is still kind of dumb. Doesn't make very wise decisions, but it is getting better, and it always seems that they always deal a lot of damage to me, and then I finally draw into an Extinction. I wipe the board, and then they're kind of just pretty much top decking from there, so it seems to work out. And then from there, either one of two things happen. I start drawing into Crash of Beasts, or I start drawing into Pack Raptor, or I draw the Demented Demolisher and wipe my resources, and then just start, you know, laying the troops down, and from there it's just, you know, lay on the pain and finish them off. So other than that, that's going to be this week's deck tech, and yeah, so if you like the video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up so other people can find it. If you want to see more of these videos, go ahead and click subscribe below, and I'll have another video for you soon.